Hello everyone, welcome to Cybersecurity Associate, the SOC Analyst course from Zoom Technologies. So in this course, we will be discussing about the Security Operations Center, or SOC as we call it in short. Before we understand what is a SOC, what does a SOC do, what are its roles and responsibilities, let us first understand what actually do we see in our organization's network, and why do we require a security operations center? So now, considering an organization's network, let us consider a simple network here. So we'll be having internet connection from, say, a service provider, ISP, which is terminated on a router, which is in turn connected to our security gateway. Now, from the security gateway, we will be having our LAN network. So I'll only consider a simple network, assuming we have some resources like, say, our Active Directory, we have DHCP, DNS servers, right? Then we have maybe our organization's application servers and all, and few LAN computers. So the primary job of an administrator is to configure this entire network. So the first job is to configure this network, configure all the network resources, configure the router, configure the security gateway, write some policies on the router and write some policies on the security gateway, allowing or denying certain traffic, and then configure the Active Directory, write certain policies on the Active Directory, allowing a user to log in from a very specific computer, or maybe from how many different computers a user can log in simultaneously. Or after logging in, what all applications can be accessed or can be used by the user, what all applications cannot be used by the end user. So all these parameters will be configured by the administrator, which is a first and the primary task. And once the configuration part is complete, now the second task is to monitor what is happening in the network, right? So an administrator has to monitor what all activities are happening in the network, like what's happening with the Active Directory, what is happening with our application servers, or what is happening with the user computers, right? Maybe there is an incident where end user tries to connect a flash drive, right? So as per the organization's policy, end user should not be connecting a flash drive to a computer. But say someone has connected a flash drive, right? You call this as a security breach or as a violation, right? You also call it as a security event or an incident. So when this sort of incidents happen, what is to be done? How do we monitor these incidents? And what sort of preventive measures do we take so that this security incidents would not be happening in future, right? So these all the responsibility of a SOC analyst. A SOC analyst is going to check what is happening in the organization's network. If there are any security violations, what are those violations? Who was the user, or what was the application, what was the computer, right, which is responsible for this violation? And then they also try to make changes to the security policies or the procedures so that these violations would not be happening in the future, right? So now going back to our SOC. So SOC is a centralized unit within an organization which is responsible for monitoring, detecting, analyzing, and responding to cybersecurity incidents. Like the example what I have taken earlier, someone is connecting a flash drive which they are not supposed to connect, or maybe we have our application server which can be accessed from internet, but say someone is trying to launch an attack and compromise the server. So that is also a security incident. Right? So when this sort of security incidents happen, how do we respond or how do we analyze the situation? So that's what we are going to discuss in this particular course in the SOC Analyst. So when we speak about the different type of SOC, we come across two major classifications here. One is in-house, the other is outsourced security operations center or a SOC. So here when we speak about in-house, all the security operations and all the activities of the security operations center, right? Everything will be happening and everything will be maintained internally by the organization themselves. So in-house SOC is managed internally within the organization. The advantages of in-house SOC is that you will have greater control on what actually is going on and how do we customize our security policies or our processes as per what is required and as per what is going on, right? So you will be having full control over what actually are your SOC operations and how do you respond to certain events, how do you monitor the events, what all things have to be monitored and all this. But there's also a disadvantage with a in-house SOC, which involves a higher cost and also requires hiring multiple skilled SOC analysts. So in the security operations center, as I said, we need to monitor what is going on in the organization's network and all, right? We would require a team of skilled SOC analysts who continuously keeps monitoring what is going on in the network, right? So that would be adding to the cost in addition to all the required technologies, the tools, all the solutions that we'll have to purchase to set up and maintain a in-house SOC. Now coming to the outsourced SOC, these are managed by external service providers. Like say for example, if I want to have my organization's website, so I can go to some third-party web hosting providers like GoDaddy or OVH hostings. So when I go to this third-party hosting service providers, I'm not maintaining the server myself. So I'm not having the server, I'm not purchasing the licenses for the servers and all. We are not having the mission within our organization. So we'll be having the server hosted somewhere else in, say, for example, GoDaddy's data center. Now, GoDaddy will take care of the server, will take care of the software, the licensing, security patches, everything, right? We just connect to the server, upload the web pages, and the end user will be able to view them. So in the same fashion, when we go with the outsourced SOC, the advantages are they are very cost effective, and you'll also have the SOC analyst with proper technical skills and expertise available ready-made. Now, as we were discussing earlier with the in-house SOC, the disadvantage that we were saying is we would require team of SOC analysts who have proper technical skills and expertise and all. Right? Now, we don't have to worry about hiring a team of SOC analysts, right? When we go with the outsourced SOC. So whoever is providing us the security operations center solution, so they will have a team of experts who are always going to monitor what is happening in our network. And if there are any recommendations, there are any security policies to be changed, They give us those recommendations and we just have to follow them. Right? Now, there are also certain disadvantages. The disadvantages are, unlike in-house SOC, we would not have full control over the operations. So we'll be having less control over the SOC operations, right? And especially if you are into certain verticals like the financial sector, the healthcare, or maybe into pharma, right? You will also have certain privacy concerns because whatever the data that you are actually dealing with will also be having the PII information, right? So there are also certain security concerns. So we'll have to strip down all the PII information before we share it with our outsourced SOC for the analysis and all this. Right? So there are advantages and disadvantages with both the in-house as well as the outsourced SOC. So based on what actually is our organization, what is our line of business, we'll have to choose which mode of SOC operations would be beneficial to the organization. So whether we go with in-house or outsourced, it purely depends on what actually is our organization and what is our line of business. So what are we doing here? Right? Then going forward, when we speak about a SOC, see, a SOC requires people who are going to monitor what is happening in an organization or in the network or with all our resources. So these are the people, we call them as security engineers or SOC analysts, right? So these are the people who monitor what is happening in our network. Now, for these people to monitor what is happening in our network, there should be a proper guideline on what are the steps to be taken, how do we proceed with monitoring the network resources, and also we'll also require some security protocols, the workflows, the processes have to be in place, and also we require technologies. So we require technologies like, say, for example, we require SIEM, security information and event management. We would require endpoint detection and response, in short, also called as EDR. We would also require web application firewalls, intrusion prevention systems. So we would require certain technologies so that using these technologies, we will be able to monitor what is happening in the network. So here, when we speak about SOC, SOC involves different technologies which will help us to monitor what's happening in the network. SOC involves various security processes, the workflows. How do we monitor the network resources? If there is any violation, if there is an alert which is triggered, how do we go ahead? How do we resolve it? What is the process we follow? And to do all these activities, we will be having the SOC analyst or the security engineers. We'll be having the threat hunters, incident responders. So we'll also see what actually are all these different type of people. So here, when we speak about the security analyst, so a security analyst is responsible for monitoring our systems and analyzing the alerts. So to monitor what's happening with different network resources, different applications, and if there are any alerts which are triggered, to monitor those alerts. Then the senior security analyst will actually be guiding a team of security analysts. So we can say the security analyst would be L1, right? So a senior security analyst will be the one who is guiding this team of security analysts and also is overlooking all the operations on what is going on with the network monitoring. Then if there is a cybersecurity incident, if there is a security violation, you'll be having incident responders whose job is to provide a resolution for the security violation. So if there is something wrong, let's say uh, a user tried to upload some confidential data. So they are trying to upload a document which has some confidential data to, say, for example, Google Drive, right? Now, the job of this security analyst is to see who is the user, what is the computer, and what is the file that is being uploaded. Then that would be handed over to the incident responder, who will take actions like what exactly is the reason, why is this person trying to upload it, and then what sort of precautions, or maybe the user may have to undergo some security training or the awareness training, and all the incident responders will take care of that based on what actually is the situation. Then we have the threat hunters who are proactively working, proactively searching and trying to identify unknown threats. Now, if we already know that someone is trying to upload a document, or maybe someone is trying to plug in a flash drive, right? We get an alert and then we respond to it. But what if there is a malware which is trying to infect our systems, or maybe what if some attacker, some hacker is trying to launch an attack onto our network? So at this point of time, we are not aware of what's going on. Unless we see the result, we are not aware of it. But the threat hunters, these are the team of people who are constantly in a lookout to see what sort of new attacks are going on, what sort of different ways someone can try to bypass our security and get in. So these people are always trying to search for unknown threats. And then we have the security engineers, who are the uh, you can say like the security engineers are the top level guys into the SOC, right? Who maintain and also make sure that they always are trying to enhance the security of the organization, or the security of the network resources, by taking inputs from the security analyst, or maybe from the incident responders, and also they try to gather all the information what's happening with the network resources and all, and then try to bring in new systems into place, or enhance the security by updating our security policies, or bringing in, or maybe tweaking the existing policies. So these are the guys who are trying to enhance our security. So these are like the different roles of people we have in a SOC, or a security operation center. So now let us proceed further. When we speak about the tools, as I said earlier, uh, in a SOC, we would require some tools like, say, SIM, security information and event management. So this is a tool which can collect log messages from all our resources. So what happens is, within our network, we will also have a SIM server. Now the job of this SIM server is to collect something called log messages. Now logs are just simple bits of information saying what happened at what time. Right. Now let's say, for example, this is a user computer. Let's say user one. Now this user one is trying to access Zoom Technologies website. So they're trying to access the Zoom Technologies website at 10 a.m. Right. Now the security gateway is going to send information to the SIM solution saying at 10 a.m. from so and so computer, user one is trying to access Zoom Technologies website. So it's just a piece of information that your security gateway is giving it to the SIM solution, right? So like this, the SIM solution will collect log messages from all our resources, from our security gateways, from the routers, from the Active Directory, from the DHCP, DNS, our application servers, the operating systems installed on all the user computers. If you also have some anti-malware applications, so your anti-malware application will give a log message, right? So all the applications, all the devices that we have in our network, they keep sending the log messages to the SIM solution. Now the job of this SIM solution is to monitor what each and every device is trying to tell us, and if there is something suspicious or if there is something urgent, it would trigger an alert so that the administrator will come to know what is wrong with the network. Let me just show you how exactly we have a interface on the SIM and how SIM solutions would trigger some alerts. So let's say here I'm going to the SIM solution, which is called Splunk. So once we log into the SIM solution, so in our course, we'll be discussing what is a SIM solution, how does it show us the data and all. So here I'm just giving you a glimpse of what actually happens. So here I can start searching for certain events, or if there are some alerts, we can also directly check the alerts here. So how do we configure the alerts and all? We'll be discussing this at a much later stage. But right now, let's say someone is trying to launch an attack on the web server. So here, the SIM solution, as we have noticed, has triggered a alert. So it has triggered an alert, right? And it is telling us the information like when exactly the incident has happened, who is reporting it, right? Also information about what was the source, like where is this attack coming from, what exactly is a target. So what is the server in our network which is being targeted by this particular attack, and also what was the type of attack method, what is the type of attack method they have used. So it shows us all the information like this, right? Now not only SIM, when we speak about a SOC, we'll also be using different other uh, security solutions, like say we have EDR, the endpoint detection and response. So this we can consider as a much advanced version of our antivirus systems. So generally antivirus is only trying to detect a virus and try to stop the execution of a virus. But here when we speak about the newer generation malwares, it's not just a virus. So today we see we have different sort of malwares. We have viruses, we have worms, we have trojans, there are backdoor applications, there are ransomware attacks. So when different kind of newer generation malwares are spreading over internet, trying to compromise our network or trying to compromise our data security, right? A simple traditional antivirus would not be sufficient. So this is where the newer generation EDR solutions come into picture. So EDR, they detect different kind of malwares, and based on how effective is your EDR, not only detecting the malware or the malware's execution, it will also be able to respond by deleting those infected files or deleting those infections from the end user system. So we'll have the EDR solutions into the SIM. So we'll be getting the log messages from the EDR into the SIM. We have the firewalls. I'm sure majority of you are aware of this term firewall. Firewall is a technology which helps us to control what kind of traffic is coming into the network and what kind of traffic is going out of our network. So here when we speak about a firewall, firewall also acts as a security gateway in our network. So as I've shown here in the sample network topology, we have the security gateway. So here we may have a firewall, or we may also have a combination of a firewall along with intrusion prevention system, so which gives us a much better security, right? So firewall will control what sort of traffic is going out and is coming into our network, and if certain traffic is blocked, certain requests are blocked or denied, firewall would also give alert messages, which will again be collected by the SIM solution. Similarly, intrusion detection or intrusion prevention systems, IDS or IPS, So these are the technologies which identify what exactly is the request that we are receiving from internet, or what exactly is the request that we are sending from our local network to internet. If this particular request is a attack, or if this request contains any sort of attack, the intrusion prevention or the IPS systems will identify the attack and block it. So these are the different technologies that we will be using into the security operation center. And as we already discussed, the day-to-day job of a security analyst is to first monitor what's happening in the network. So once they are monitoring what is going on with the network, once they see if there are any alerts that are being triggered and all, then the analyst has to perform a triage. So analyst has to see if there is an alert which is triggered, right? What exactly is this alert? Uh, what is the target system that is being affected? And is this alert correct or not? So some cases you may have a false positive. So maybe there is nothing wrong, but there was a false alarm which was triggered. So in the triage phase, a security analyst is going to differentiate and try to check whether is this a proper alert or is it a false positive. If it is a proper alert, so if it is not a false positive, it is a alert, there is something wrong, then the security analyst will escalate it to the senior security analyst and try to get the solution for the issue. But in some cases, if it is not a very major alert, if it is not a very severe alert, a security analyst at their level, they can recommend a solution to the end user or to the responsible team on how to fix the problem. So when we speak about the cybersecurity landscape, uh, there is a 300% increase in cyber threats in 2020, just compared to the previous year, that is compared to 2019. From 2020, there was a 300% increase in the cyber threats. And just imagine what would be the situation now. Like, so the attackers, the hackers, they are becoming smart. They are always trying to come up with something new to launch an attack and compromise our systems and all. Right? So when they are always upgrading themselves and they are coming up with new methods, new techniques to bypass our security, we would also need to upgrade ourselves. Our SOC analyst should also be smart enough to identify what is the technique, what is the method that hackers are trying to use to compromise our systems. So the SOC analyst is a very, very important role in providing security for our network. So SOC analyst is the one who's going to monitor what's happening in our network, who is going to give us recommendations on how do we overcome the problems. Now coming into the importance of the digital security or the cyber security, right? As we have already discussed, there is a raising concern with the security attacks or the cyber attacks for every organization, right? And every organization is supposed to protect their data, their internal information, as well as the customer information or the employee information, their client informations and all, right? So we'll have to be protecting your data, make sure that your business activities, your day-to-day operations are not interrupted and they are continuing as usual. Now, for an organization to have their business activity or to have their day-to-day operations continue without any sort of disturbance, they have to make sure that all the resources, it can be a user computer, it can be a server, it can be a network device, so all the network resources, or it can be some applications or the data, whatever is residing on those systems, everything is safe, everything is intact. For that, you would require continuous monitoring and continuously enhancing your security posture. Now, coming into the certification path from the US Council. So here we are at this level, the Cybersecurity Associate. Now, this particular course involves the cybersecurity fundamentals content. So it also covers the contents of the cybersecurity fundamentals plus the SOC analyst course or the SOC analyst activities, right? Where you'll be learning the very basics of network. So even if you are new into the networking stream, you have not had any other trainings, or you do not have any other existing knowledge or information about networking and all that, you don't have to worry. So we'll be starting from the very basics, starting from what actually is a network, what all different components you'll be seeing in a network, like say for example, I'll give you something like say, what is an IP address? What is a OSI reference model? Or say, how do we install operating systems on computers? And then we'll also discuss like how one computer would communicate to another computer. How would you share the data from one system to the other system? What is the procedure involved? What all activities are happening in the background? So we discussed those networking fundamentals, the basics of the network operations, and then we'll also be discussing about how do we monitor what is happening in the network, and how do we monitor if there is any sort of security violation, or if everything is functioning all right as expected or not. How do we use the SOC technologies? How do we use the technologies like the SIEM solutions and all? How do we monitor what is happening in the network and all this at the cybersecurity associate level? Then after this, we will be going to the next level, which is where we discuss about how someone can try to compromise our network security. So here we are monitoring if someone is trying to compromise our security, or if someone is trying to launch an attack. So in the next level, we will see how those attacks will be performed. So in the ethical hacking and prevention level, we will discuss how hackers are trying to launch attacks and compromise our systems. And then organizations are also looking for how do we secure the network resources. So not just how someone can launch an attack, organization also wants to identify the technologies and see how do we use those technologies to protect the resources or to protect our network. So that's where we'll be discussing the attack methods as well as the solutions in the cybersecurity professional course. So this course will include the ethical hacking and prevention, where we'll be discussing the attack methods as well as the security solutions. And then going forward, we'll be moving on into the cybersecurity expert, where we'll be discussing about how do we actually do the configuration for this solutions like the SIEM, the EDR solutions, or the data loss prevention solutions. How do we go with the threat hunting, the malware analysis, and also how do we perform those activities? We'll be discussing at a cybersecurity expert level. So I hope you guys have got a clear idea about what actually we are going to discuss in the cybersecurity associate, the SOC analyst course. Thank you.